All right, folks. So, like any decent detective worth their fucking salt, I decided to take a second look at all of Scott Tadych's evidence. And I do this frequently. I'll remember something that I saw that I should have written down. It's just a good idea to keep going through the evidence over and over and over because you always find something that you didn't think that you found before. And this is one of those times. So, as I stated before, Scott Tadych was interviewed by police on 3 separate occasions. The first was on November 10th of 2005. The second was on November 29th of 2005. And the third was on March 30th of 2006. Let's go through these statements and see the incongruencies, shall we? So, during the November 10th statement to police, he stated that when he arrived at Barb's house to pick her up to go see his mother at around 5-ish, 5:30, she was standing outside talking to Stephen with one of her sons. This is a very key point, and you'll see why when I talk to you about the other 2 statements. But this is pretty key. Now, on November 29th, he states that he's at Barb's between 5:15 and 5:30, and that one of Barb's sons and Stephen Avery were standing behind Stephen's garage around a burning bonfire. Yeah. 19 fucking days, and all of a sudden he is taking the son and Stephen off of Barb Janda's porch and putting them behind Stephen's garage in front of a burn pit. You smell that, people? It's the distinct smell of bullshit. So then he states that after they leave his mother's hospital room, that he has Barb Janda at home at about 7:30, 7:45, and that she is at his house by 8:30. Now, in the November 10th statement, he says that she's at his house by 9. At 9 o'clock, she goes to his house. Now, 19 days later, he's saying that she's at his house at 8:30. And she left at 11 or 12 and went home to her house where she slept. Okay, that's going to become important, people. Come with me on this. Now, in the November 29th statement, I'm going to quote from this. Tadych said that when October 31st of 2005 became an important date in the investigation, he tried to remember everything he did or saw at the Avery property that day. He then goes on to say if investigators would have contacted him sooner, he would have remembered more. Folks, that statement was made on November 29th of 2005. That is less than a month. Less than a month from Halloween. How fucking bad is your memory, Scott? Jesus fuck, dude, I got 6 kids and even I can remember what the fuck I did a month ago. Now, here's the really funny thing. In the November 10th statement, he says that he passed Bobby on the highway at 3:10 in the afternoon. Didn't he say that he got home at his house at 3:15 on that day? Okay, so he said that he saw Bobby Dassey at 3:10. I can kind of buy that bullshit just because, you generally roughly know when you're about 5 minutes away from your own fucking house. But then, in the November 29th statement, he said that he saw Bobby after leaving his house while still holding to the 3:15 arrival time at his residence. Which is it, Scott? Did you see the motherfucker before you got home or after you left to go hunting? Yeah, we know what you were hunting, and it was a doe, but it wasn't no female deer. this is where it gets really interesting, folks. Now, with regards to that statement, if you had come to me sooner, I could have remembered more. You'll notice when you read true crime novels or, you watch something like The First 48, any seasoned investigator will tell you that usually the perp says some stupid shit like that to try and absolve themselves of responsibility. They're trying to throw the investigators off the scent. And in this case, they didn't have to work too hard. Now we're up to the March 30th of 2006 statement. This is where it gets juicy. Okay, on March 30th of 2006, mind you, this is 1 month after Brendan Dassey is arrested and charged with accessory to homicide, rape, and mutilation of a corpse. Oh, and false imprisonment. Now, this is also 1 month after Stephen Avery has 3 additional charges added to his already heavy bullshit burden. Okay? Keep that in mind when you come with me on this journey. Scott says in a statement to police on March 30th of 2006 that Barb was at his house by 8 p.m. on October 31st of 2005. So he's moved up the time frame by a half hour every fucking statement. This time, though, she didn't leave his house and go home. She slept at his house and went to work from his residence. What do you need an alibi for, Scott? Huh? You're working really fucking hard at that alibi there, buddy. In this same statement, mind you, this is after Stephen Avery is already charged, Brendan Dassey is already charged. Scott then proceeds to tell police that Stephen has exercised complete control over Brendan, as well as the Dassey and Avery families as a whole, and he believes that this is due to the money that he was due to receive from his lawsuits. He then says, this is a catcher of everything from cigarette ashes to cookies. He then says that Stephen Avery orders Barb's kids around and then proceeds to use the phrase, Barb is their mother. You're shaking the table, dude. Thanks. This is what happens when your kids try to clean because mommy lost her shit. The camera starts shaking uncontrollably and you're starting to wonder, did she have enough caffeine today or is she suddenly in California? Now, I've noticed that generally step parents who want to be controlling will utter phrases like, so-and-so is their mother, not you. So-and-so is their parent, not you. It's because they're trying to start gaining the control for themselves. Okay? Now, here's the thing. I find this really fucking interesting. Barb was married to Scott Tadych shortly after Brendan Dassey's conviction. Because a wife she's constitutionally protected from testifying against her husband. The plot thickens. I'm a writer and even I can't come up with shit like this, people. Now, this is where I'm getting really fucking pissed. Is if you notice, Scott Tadych's statements are getting bigger and bigger and bigger and more detailed and filling in all this shit. And if you notice, his first statement to police lines up okay with Blaine Dassey's statement to police. But then he gets talked to right around the same time that Brendan Dassey gets talked to. I have a theory on this, and I will share that theory with you in the very next video. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, please leave them below. We'll see you next time.